Good morning, everyone. We've all been in situations where someone suddenly ignores us, whether it's a friend, a colleague, or even a loved one. It can be frustrating, confusing, and even painful. But how we react in these moments defines our emotional strength and self respect. So, what should you do when someone ignores you? Here's the key: don't chase, don't beg, and don't lose yourself over their silence. Instead, take control of the situation with dignity and self awareness. 1. Stay calm and don't overreact. Your first instinct might be to ask, "What did I do wrong?" But don't jump to conclusions. Sometimes people have personal struggles and it has nothing to do with you. 2. Give them space. If someone is ignoring you, don't force a conversation. Respect their silence. If they value your presence, they will eventually reach out. 3. Focus on yourself instead of wasting energy worrying. Shift your focus to self improvement. Spend time doing things that make you happy, whether it's working out, learning something new, or hanging out with positive people. When someone ignores us, our natural reaction is often confusion, frustration, or even panic. We start overanalyzing everything, asking ourselves, did I say something wrong? Did I upset them? Why are they behaving like this? This overthinking can lead to unnecessary stress, anxiety, and even damage our self esteem. But the key to handling this situation effectively is to stay calm and not overreact. Instead of immediately assuming the worst, take a step back and breathe. People ignore others for various reasons. Maybe they are going through personal struggles, maybe they need space, or maybe they are just busy. Jumping to negative conclusions without any clear evidence will only make the situation worse. When you stay calm, you maintain your emotional balance. You don't act impulsively by sending multiple messages, calling repeatedly, or demanding an explanation. Instead, you give yourself the chance to assess the situation rationally. Ask yourself, is this a pattern, or is it a one-time thing? Is there a valid reason they might be distant? Also, remember that not everything requires an immediate reaction. Sometimes silence is the best response. When you remain composed, you show maturity and self-respect. People are more likely to reach out when they see that you are handling the situation with grace rather than desperation. So, before you let emotions take over, pause, reflect, and remind yourself that your worth isn't defined by someone else's attention. Keep your emotions in check and don't let their behavior disturb your inner peace. When someone ignores us, our first instinct is often to chase them for answers. We feel a strong urge to text, call, or confront them to find out what's wrong. But forcing communication when someone is distant usually pushes them even further away. Instead of seeking immediate closure, the best approach is to give them space. People need space for different reasons. Maybe they are overwhelmed with personal issues, stressed about work, or just need time to process their emotions. Sometimes they might not even realize they are being distant. By constantly checking in or demanding attention, we can make them feel pressured, leading them to withdraw even more. Giving space doesn't mean you don't care. It simply means you respect their need for distance and allow them the time they need. In many cases, when people are given space, they eventually come back on their own, feeling refreshed and ready to communicate again. However, if we keep pushing, they might start feeling suffocated and cut ties completely. Another benefit of giving space is that it also allows you to reflect. Instead of obsessing over their behavior, use this time to focus on yourself. Ask yourself, is this person important to me? Do they usually act this way, or is this an unusual situation? Am I relying too much on their attention for my happiness? Additionally, when you step back, you give the other person a chance to miss you. If you are constantly in their face, they don't have the opportunity to realize your value. But when you withdraw a little, they may start to wonder about you and appreciate your presence more. So instead of reacting with desperation, respond with patience and self respect. Let them have their time, and if they truly care, they will return when they are ready. When someone ignores you, it's easy to fall into a cycle of self doubt and overthinking. You might start questioning everything: your words, your actions, even your worth. But the truth is, the best thing you can do in this situation is to redirect all that energy back to yourself. Instead of obsessing over why they're ignoring you, use this as an opportunity for self improvement and personal growth. One of the worst mistakes people make when ignored is putting their life on hold, waiting for the other person to acknowledge them. They spend hours checking their phone, overanalyzing past conversations, and hoping for a response. But what does that accomplish? Nothing. It only makes you feel powerless and dependent on someone else's attention for your happiness. Instead, shift your focus inward. Start doing things that bring you joy and fulfillment. If you've been neglecting hobbies or interests, now is the perfect time to get back to them. Exercise, read, learn a new skill, or spend time with friends and family who appreciate you. When you invest in yourself, not only do you feel better, but you also become more attractive emotionally, mentally, and even socially. Focusing on yourself also helps you build emotional resilience. When you learn to enjoy your own company and prioritize your well being, you become less affected by external validation. You realize that someone ignoring you doesn't define your worth. You start valuing yourself enough to know that you don't need to chase after anyone to feel complete. Additionally, when people see that you're happy and thriving despite their absence, it often makes them reconsider their behavior. They may start wondering why you're unbothered, and in many cases, they'll come back because they see that you are confident and independent. But even if they don't, it won't matter because by then you will have already built a stronger, happier version of yourself. When someone ignores us, our natural reaction is to seek clarity. We want to know what went wrong, why they're distant, and if we did something to upset them. It's human nature to crave closure, but constantly chasing after someone for an answer rarely works in our favor. Instead of bombarding them with calls or messages, the best approach is to reach out once clearly and calmly and then step back. The reason why this is so important is that it allows you to show maturity and self respect. If someone is ignoring you, sending them multiple messages or demanding a response only makes you appear desperate. Instead, send one well thought out message that expresses your concern without begging for attention. Something as simple as, "Hey, I've noticed you've been distant lately. I just wanted to check in and see if everything is okay. If you need space, I completely understand, but I'm here if you ever want to talk." This type of message achieves three things. It acknowledges their silence without overreacting. It shows that you care while also respecting their boundaries. It puts the ball in their court, giving them the option to respond or not. Once you've communicated your thoughts, let go. This is the hardest part for many people because we naturally want a resolution. But by letting go, you are setting a healthy boundary for yourself. You are saying, "I value my time and energy too much to keep chasing someone who doesn't reciprocate." If they truly care about you, they will respond when they're ready. If they continue to ignore you, that's your answer. Silence is an answer too, and sometimes it speaks louder than words. By not forcing a response, you gain clarity on where you stand in their life. Additionally, letting go after one attempt at communication protects your self-esteem. It prevents you from engaging in a cycle of over-pursuit and rejection, which can damage your confidence. Instead of clinging to someone who isn't valuing your presence, you take back control by choosing to walk away with dignity. At the end of the day, communication is a two-way street. If you've reached out and they don't respond, it's their choice, but how you handle it is yours. Make sure your choice reflects your self-worth. One of the biggest mistakes we make when someone ignores us is assuming it's our fault. We immediately start analyzing every interaction, every word we said, and every action we took. Did I say something wrong? Did I upset them? Am I not good enough? This mindset is not only emotionally exhausting, but also often completely unnecessary. The truth is, when someone ignores you, it usually has more to do with them than it does with you. People withdraw for countless reasons that have nothing to do with others. They may be going through personal struggles, feeling overwhelmed with work or life, or simply needing space to process their emotions. In many cases, they might not even realize they are ignoring you. It could be unintentional. When you take things personally, you give away your power. You allow someone else's actions to dictate how you feel about yourself. But here's an important reality. You are not responsible for someone else's emotional state or their ability or inability to communicate properly. If they are choosing to ignore you instead of being honest about what's going on, that is their issue, not yours. Instead of internalizing their silence as a rejection, try shifting your perspective. Remind yourself that their actions reflect their state of mind, not your worth. People handle situations differently, and some are not emotionally mature enough to communicate properly. That's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. Additionally, not taking things personally helps you maintain emotional stability. If every time someone ignores you, you allow it to ruin your mood or self-esteem, you will always be at the mercy of other people's actions. But when you learn to separate their behavior from your self-worth, you gain emotional independence. You become someone who remains confident and secure regardless of how others act. That doesn't mean you should ignore your feelings. It's natural to feel hurt or confused when someone you care about distances themselves. But instead of blaming yourself, acknowledge your feelings, remind yourself of your value, and move forward without letting their silence define you. By choosing not to take it personally, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and self-doubt. You recognize that you deserve people in your life who communicate openly and value your presence, not those who leave you guessing in silence. One of the biggest challenges when someone ignores you is not letting it shake your confidence. It's easy to feel unwanted or unimportant when someone suddenly stops acknowledging you. You might start questioning yourself, wondering if you're not interesting enough, not good enough, or if you did something wrong. But the moment you let someone else's silence affect your self-worth, you give them control over your happiness. Confidence should come from within, not from external validation. If someone is ignoring you, it doesn't mean you are less valuable, unworthy, or unimportant. It simply means they are making a choice, and that choice has nothing to do with your true worth. Confident people don't seek constant approval from others. They understand that their value isn't dependent on whether someone chooses to engage with them or not. So, how do you keep your confidence intact when being ignored? First, remind yourself of who you are. Think about your strengths, your achievements, and the positive impact you have on others. Just because one person is distant doesn't mean you are not appreciated by many others. Confidence comes from recognizing your value, no matter how someone else treats you. Second, avoid acting out of insecurity. A confident person does not beg for attention or try to force someone to respond. Instead of chasing after someone who is ignoring you, focus on living your life. Keep doing things that make you happy, keep engaging with people who respect you, and keep carrying yourself with dignity. When you maintain your confidence, you show others and yourself that your happiness is not dependent on their presence. Third, practice self-care. When you feel ignored, it's tempting to dwell on negative thoughts. But instead of overanalyzing the situation, shift your focus to taking care of yourself. Whether it's working out, engaging in a hobby, spending time with loved ones, or practicing mindfulness, investing in yourself reinforces your self-worth and helps you stay emotionally strong. Lastly, remember that people are drawn to confidence. The more secure you are in yourself, the more attractive you become, not just in romantic relationships, but in all areas of life. When you handle being ignored with grace instead of desperation, people take notice. They see that you respect yourself enough not to let someone else's behavior dictate your emotions. Confidence is about knowing that you are enough just as you are. No amount of silence from another person can change that dot. One of the hardest lessons in life is understanding that not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. When someone continuously ignores you, doesn't respect your presence, or fails to acknowledge your efforts, there comes a point when you must make a choice. Do you keep waiting and hoping, or do you walk away with your dignity intact? Walking away doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're recognizing your own value. It means you understand that relationships, whether friendships, romantic relationships, or even professional connections, should be built on mutual respect and effort. If someone is repeatedly ignoring you without explanation, they are showing you that they don't value your presence the way you deserve. And that's not something you should tolerate. Knowing when to walk away requires emotional strength and self respect. It's easy to cling to the hope that they will come back, apologize, or change their behavior. But the harsh truth is, if someone truly cared, they wouldn't ignore you in the first place. People make time for what they value. If someone repeatedly chooses to stay silent, that is a message in itself, one that you must not ignore. So, how do you know when it's time to walk away? First, ask yourself, has this person made a consistent effort to be in my life, or is it always one sided? Do they only engage with me when it's convenient for them? Have I tried to communicate, and they still refuse to acknowledge me? Does their silence make me feel undervalued, anxious, or emotionally drained? If the answer to these questions leans toward the negative, then the decision is clear. You need to stop chasing and start moving on. Walking away isn't just about cutting someone off, it's about reclaiming your power. It's about saying, I refuse to invest my energy in someone who doesn't appreciate it. When you walk away, you shift your focus back to yourself. You start surrounding yourself with people who genuinely respect and care for you. You open doors to new relationships and opportunities that bring positivity into your life. Most importantly, walking away teaches others how to treat you. When you set boundaries and refuse to be treated as an afterthought, you show people that you respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, the right people will respect you too. In life, you will encounter people who appreciate you and others who take you for granted. How you respond to their actions defines your self-worth. When someone ignores you, don't beg for their attention, don't overanalyze their silence, and most importantly, don't let it shake your confidence. Instead, stay calm, give them space, focus on yourself, communicate once and then let go. Don't take their actions personally, keep your confidence strong, and know when it's time to walk away. The right people will never leave you feeling invisible. They will value your presence, communicate openly, and make an effort to be in your life. So, choose self-respect over desperation, peace over confusion, and dignity over chasing someone who doesn't see your worth. When you prioritize yourself, you attract people who truly appreciate you. And remember, someone ignoring you is not a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their inability to recognize it. Stay strong, stay confident, and never settle for less than you deserve.